Hey guys, I'm back for another video of a project I'm working on. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I haven't ever recorded myself doing it, so I'm just gonna kind of walk through the process. Should be pretty quick. I'm going to make, I call them rock murals. Well, I basically try to make paintings or pictures out of all the rocks and designs and stuff, and then I put an epoxy over it and sort of I plan on using them to like put picture hangers on the back and put them on the wall, which they can get pretty heavy. I've made larger ones in the past, and it's like you almost definitely got to put them into studs because I've made them to where they weigh 40-50 pounds. So I know you can hang heavier stuff like that on walls. It's just you got to prepare. So this week I'm doing a smaller one. I'm gonna walk you through the process of how I do them. And like I said, they are stressful because epoxy is very messy, and obviously with any liquid there's always leaks. So I haven't perfected it, so that's why we're going to go through it together. This week we're doing Petoskeybrewery up there in Michigan. Again, not far. I've been there a couple times. It's always great. Anywhere in northern Michigan I love to go to. So stay tuned and we'll go through it and we'll see if it turns out successful. So we're starting, just cut a piece of plywood. Here's a blank one. This one's thin, so I don't know how this is gonna work. It's a little thinner than the ones I've done in the past. I don't know how it's gonna work as far as mounting hanging brackets on the back after it's all said and done. But here's the one I'm gonna be working with. So what I've done in the past, I always tape up my borders and for when I pour the epoxy in there. But this time I've bought, it's kind of hard because I've taped it all up hundreds of times, but I bought like HVAC metal tape for the interior. I read somewhere that might help hold it in a little better, but I went on ahead and put a bunch of extra tape around the side because what I've learned in the past is that when you pour the epoxy, the walls kind of want to bend. So what I end up usually having to do is getting a bunch of books and supporting the sides. Once I've poured the epoxy, I got to put books on it so that these don't start to go like that, and then epoxy rolls over the side, and then I make a mess in my house and I get in trouble. So I painted it just a basic white because it's going to be filled in with rocks. You're basically not going to see it regardless, so not any special color or anything. If you look here, I haven't done this in the past, but you can see where there's holes in this tape where it's not secure against that. So what I think I'm gonna do is run a bead of super glue from the tape to the board all the way around, just so that hopefully I can have less leaks. I don't know how that's going to affect things when it comes to when the epoxy's all dried out and I have to remove the tape. I'm not sure if that's gonna be good or bad. So stay tuned. I think right now I got to figure out what I want to do for the mural. I got a ton of rocks inside. I usually do these because, like most of your significant others probably say, what the hell do you do with all these rocks when you're done tumbling them? Otherwise they'll just stack up in your house. So what I like to do is try and make pictures and other little knickknacks for you guys, and hopefully one day I'll be able to sell them. I got a plan to do a bunch of these this year, so now that it's nicer out, I can do it in the garage where I'm not making a mess in my house. So we'll go inside with this and try and make something interesting. See ya. Hey guys, I'm back. It took a little longer than I expected, but I'm epoxying 2 of my rock mural type things today. I've already poured the first coat on both of them. Since I'm sort of new to this and I just got my epoxy at like Lowe's, I don't have deep pour epoxy, which what I assume is when you get deep pour epoxy, you have to make sure that the bubbles that keep rising, you got to pop them, otherwise they're going to be evident when it all dries. So I don't have that, so I have to pour a little bit each day and let it harden, a little bit more, let it harden, a little bit more, let it harden, and then once I get to my desired height, then it's kind of done from there. I did not record me pouring it because basically right now I'm just the one-man band, and epoxy is very messy, sticky, stressful, all the things. So I just decided to leave that part out, and I'll just give you updates as I progress. So stay tuned here, and I'm going to show you a little bit what I'm working with right now. So see you soon. Okay, so here's my first portrait. I got the wood here just kind of blocking up the wall so that the epoxy will push the tape and kind of run out. I should be caulking the edges, and you can see I got a little leakage underneath here. I'm sort of learning as I keep making these, but here's an idea of what I got going here. So these are all Bahia agates going through here, and I think some Serape jasper at the top. What I got, the Turritellas is kind of like a road going up into the distance with some Mexican chalcedony roses with an outline there. And then obviously I got an entire obsidian skyline, sort of like the nighttime, some snowflakes, some mahogany, some regular ones. I even got some Apache tears in there. And then again, I got a piece of crazy lace down here, but more Serape, a piece of Mookite up there, and a lot of Bahia agates. So that's one. I poured that a couple hours ago, so it's tacky, but it's not even close to setting. Let me show you something. So to get the bubbles out, I use this torch. You just basically light it and give it a spray, and it'll help pop the bubbles at the top. So I just check on that every 10 minutes or so and let it go. And then this one I just poured a few seconds ago. And this is just something I put together. There's really no rhyme or reason as to what it is. I got a wishing stone right there in the middle, and then a bunch of Lake Superior rocks that I got last summer, along with the wishing stone I found up there. Some Mookite and crazy lace down here, fossil rocks, just a mixture of green stones. There's some Unakite, a couple slabs I got off Rock Tumbling Hobby. I got that slab off of Rock Tumbling Hobby. I bought some of those, so I don't know exactly what all those are. A bunch of yellow quartz, some yellow jasper, and then I got more of those Mexican roses up here, and then I made kind of like an amethyst run through on it. Again, I didn't know. I'm just putting rocks together and trying to make something, and then a little bit of Serape jasper at the top. So I just poured my first layer of this, and on this one I'm trying to get better or more efficient. I left the edges untouched, and I caulked the tape shut around it so the epoxy can't leak out. And then instead of fighting the tape after I'm all done and sanding it and sanding it and sanding it and trying to make it right, I think I'm gonna put it on a table saw and just saw off these small edges. I don't know how that's gonna go. Again, it's my first time trying it, so we will see what happens. But first things first, we gotta get the epoxy. I'll do a little bit today, I'll throw another coat on tomorrow, and we'll see where we're at. So stay tuned, we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll add some more and see where we're going. All right, guys, this is gonna be the last video for these two murals that I'm working on. Couple updates. I poured the epoxy. I was getting ready to pour more, and I think I've decided that I'm not going to. Reason being for that is I like the epoxy makes everything look better for the most part, but the way I see it, like if this was hanging in someone's house, and someone who doesn't do this every day or is not used to seeing something like this, when they come in and they see it, it's almost like a live edge front. The rocks are still coming out at you. It gives the picture more texture, something that you can feel. So it just kind of draws the eye in more, in my personal opinion, and maybe like somebody will want to touch it or see what it feels like. It just kind of, I think will bring more attention and grab more eyes. So I'm going to show you what I got, and we'll finish this thing up. So like I said, I did not caulk this one, so I did have some leaks. It actually tore up part of this old cabinet that I just used to sit it on. But I will sand the back of it. You can see some of the sides, like I still have some of this tape that I'm going to have to get off of here. So there's still a little bit of work to be done. But like I said, I'm gonna leave it as a live edge. where there's kind of texture to it and you can feel it, the different sizes and everything. I love the way it turned out. I think if I just clean up the edges a little bit with some sanding, you could probably put this in a frame. It's super hard on the top, but it's still a little tacky on the side, so I'm gonna let it sit for a couple more days. But this is pretty much what your finished product's gonna look like. And you can frame it however you want when we get to that time. But I love the way this turned out. Let me know what you think, and I'll show you the other one here in a second. Okay, here's my other one. The epoxy again has dried, still a little bit of tack on the sides, and you can see it's kind of mangled down here from just my tape walls. The caulking helped out significantly. There was no mess with this one. It was very smooth. The tape was easy to take off. I don't have to do as much sanding. Again, if you remember earlier in the video, I said I'm thinking about putting this on a table saw and running it through here. Makes me nervous because I really do love how this turned out. And I'm a little bit hesitant because I don't know if I'm running it, I don't know what that saw with a wood blade on it is gonna do to epoxy. I don't know if it might affect the drawing itself. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room with this. So I don't want to screw it up, but at the same time, I'd like to shed just a little bit off the edges, maybe a 1/4 inch, maybe half inch, not a half inch, 1/4 inch. Yeah, maybe a half inch on the bottom and top. There's a little more gap, but I don't know. So I'm gonna have to ponder on that one because I really don't want to ruin this. I can definitely touch it up with an orbital and clean up the edges, or I can go with the saw and risk it. I'm not sure on it. I love the way that this turned out. These were all polished. These fossil rocks didn't really polish very well, but the epoxy really brings it out throughout the course of all of it. Even if it doesn't polish great, these all polished great, but these didn't. Even when you put the epoxy on it, it makes them look like they turned out amazing and polished. So here's, again, I made the same decision. I wasn't gonna pour another layer of epoxy just because I like the live edge, the different textures of the different rocks. So let me know if you like these. Again, I plan on selling them at some point. I want to build up a little bit of an inventory. That way, you know, every time, if they are popular, I don't know if anybody's gonna like them or not, but if they are, I'd like to have more than one to where I don't just have to sell it one at a time. So I'm gonna continue to make these. Again, let me know what you think. If you have any advice on how I can clean these up better on the edges, or advice at all on this process to make me, you know, a little more efficient going forward, please feel free to comment, let me know. Other than that, I'm gonna finish up the video. I'm not gonna put this part in where I'm sanding and all that because it's just kind of boring, and that's just stuff you could do in the garage. It's not so much with the lapidary or the rock part. That part's finished, and that's the part that I really want to focus on in these videos. So I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for maybe some pictures, and I'll be back and hopefully be making more of these soon. Last little bit here. It's not fair not to give everybody their fair share, but the brewery this week is an old hat I got, I believe, when I was down in Cincinnati. This is madtreebrewery, again based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Loved this place. Very cool merchandise and stuff to grab. So check them out if you're ever traveling through, and go grab a beer there. That's it for this week.